To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will start with the roll call. If everyone could introduce themselves, name and position, starting from my right.
Joe Crawford, Assistant Superintendent.
Jane Simard, Business Administrator.
Michael Flynn, the superintendent. Our lights are on, Mr. Tripp, just so you're aware.
Brenda Willis, School Board.
Michael Thiel, School Board Chair.
Jen Thoreau, School Board Vice Chair.
Jenna Paradise, School Board Secretary.
Jamie Carew, School Board.
Karen Rand, School Board.
Jason McLeod, School Board.
Anthony Henry, Pinkerton Academy Liaison.
All right, thank you, everybody. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to take a moment to remember Kathleen Murphy, Concord Superintendent of Schools, who passed away on August 26th. In addition to raising her family in Derry, Superintendent Murphy began her career and spent over 30 years with the Derry Cooperative School District, starting as a classroom teacher at Grinnell in 1971 and going on to serve as principal at Grinnell, Floyd, Gilbert H. Hood, and West Runningbrook, as the district's curriculum coordinator and as the assistant superintendent. She also served as principal in Candia and went on to serve as superintendent in Newmarket, Hampton, and Concord. She'll be remembered as a dedicated leader and a tireless advocate for students and families here in Derry and all across New Hampshire. Please join me in a moment of silence in memory of Kathleen Murphy. Thank you. Our first order of business will be the consent agenda. For approval tonight, we have the non-public meeting minutes of August 26, 2025, the public meeting minutes of August 26, 2025, approval of the manifest in the amount of $2,799,947.35, of which $1,035,801.32 is general payroll, and $1,764,137.03 is general expense. Approval of the following nominations: Melody Hodges, Special Education Teacher, East Derry Memorial Elementary School, and Catherine Smith, Occupational Therapist, District. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
First by Jen, second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, the next item is going to be appointment presentations. Tonight we have our first director reports. Mr. Flynn introduced a regular item a few weeks ago for us to receive updates from the building principals. So tonight he'll be introducing the same for our administrators from the central office. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
As we are figuring out some new practices here on the board, you heard from the principals, and now you'll hear from the directors this evening. In your packet was a one-pager. They will not be reading that. They will also be elaborating, same as the principals did. So these are quick updates. Please ask any questions when they're done. You'll see them again probably 3 more times this year, specifically for updates other than non-agenda items. So Jeremy asked to go first. So Jeremy, all yours.
I got lucky because I had to come to the last one.
Got it.
An update. So the first one I have on my agenda is the work request so far for the 2025 school year. I placed a graph on there that just kind of shows what kind of work orders we've been getting and, shows the amount. So we have, when I made this report last week, it was 218. Today it was up to 245. Just kind of breaks down the types of issues and the types of calls we get. And at the beginning of the school year, there's always a mad rush of this between teachers coming back, getting into their classrooms and kind of figuring out what issues we might be having, whether it's door locks, plumbing leaks, furniture. The general maintenance area there is at 60%. There's some items that we don't have drilled down to have a whole section, so it's general maintenance, but a lot of it's moving boxes between schools, whether teachers move furniture needs, things like that. So we've spent a lot of time on that stuff. Obviously, like groundskeeping is not on here. Obviously, if something's an emergency, we don't get work tickets, so some calls that we get don't make it to this list, but we try and push everybody to put their work requests in the system so that we can have some sort of justification and kind of categorize everything and where the issues might be. The next item I have is West Runningbrook banding completion. They are doing some punch list items today. They're pressure washing the whole building, and they anticipate being done, clean up and all that stuff by the end of this week. So that's done. All the staging is down. The next item is West Runningbrook dormer repairs. Excuse me. They were there today. They found, they made a couple changes while they were up there. They anticipate that's going to be about a week or two with little disruption to the school. And that being said, Bill and his staff have been awesome. We haven't gotten one complaint, whether the guys were hammer drilling or doing, whatever they needed to do outside. Everybody's been great to work with and understanding that it's almost done and it's a great improvement. So the last item I have is custodial training that we did at the end of summer. Every year we get the custodians together and try and go over basic items. It's kind of mundane to them, but some of it's a requirement. We had Paula come in and talk to them, introduce herself from HR, and she kind of got to know them a little bit, answered any questions that they had. We also had, I think Justin Pelletier from Bay State Financial came in and spoke to them about their retirement. The training portion was Cleanorama, who is our cleaning vet, longer life out of it. And then we did 2-hour asbestos training, which is required by the state for maintenance and custodial staff. So everybody stayed awake through that, and that's completed. That's all I got. Any questions?
Jeremy, I just want to say thank you to you and your crew who worked so hard in such tremendous heat this summer. I tried to show up every now and then with popsicles, but they really were troopers and working really hard. I just want to let you know that I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So on Saturday I drove by West, and it looks really good. The banding looks really good, but there's like a section of brick missing above one of the windows. I don't know if it's been repaired.
Yeah, there's a couple punch list items that kind of came up towards the tail end of the job. Initially, they went through and tried to count every single cracked brick that they could find when we did the bidding process and all that stuff. Throughout the job, once they got the staging up and they got closer to it, there might have been one or two. Yeah, there's a window there that they were working on today.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Kind of, you drive by and you're like, well, they forgot a spot, but no. That's also something that they can do from a ladder or their lift. So by the end of this week, all that stuff will be completed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a chance to, I caught you at West Runningbrook when I was there with my son for the meet and greet, and got a chance to see some of the updates, and we have an event there on Friday night, so it'll be nice again to
Good.
hopefully see everything all wrapped up and nice and shiny and new.
Good.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Laura? All right.
Hello there. Back to my normal seat. I put in a handout, just kind of giving an overview of the special ed numbers this year as of today. Those numbers change on the daily. And the programs that we cover, and charter schools, disability categories, and the identification process, as well as the programs in our school. And really our programming is designed to try to keep kids in the community and not out of district. So there's always some adjustments that are happening with that. This year, there's been a big change in the special education staff at the SAU. We had our administrative assistants both retire. So that is a lot of years of knowledge that walked out the door. although I've boomeranged them back, and they are now training our new staff. We have Donna Burns and Shari Hall, who are working in the Student Service Office, and they're learning the multiple systems that we use to kind of keep things moving, whether that's with finance or getting in touch with the transportation company, IEPs, working with the state on different things. So they are learning the systems and adjusting nicely. Christina Kaskowitz has also joined Derry as an assistant director in special ed. She has worked for years in the area schools and is bringing a lot of knowledge to the district, a lot of good questions to the district that we're working together to build on. I think that's going to be a great asset to the district. We're also working with Kim in the curriculum department to address student needs and provide supports to teachers through PD. Most of the positions in our special ed is always a turnover, as people have known for years of kind of watching school board meetings and the start of the school year. We have been able to fill most of those positions with either contracted services or just kind of shuffling people around. There's been some people who have moved into facilitator positions, which has left some teaching positions open. So kind of closing the gap on that. I believe we have a middle school teacher and an elementary school teacher that those positions still need to be filled, as well as some paras. Christine has been working really hard with the principals to close those, and the para positions, most importantly, as you know, they're the most direct contact with students. So I just put a plug in for if you are interested in working for the school district. Certainly look at the website, fill out an application. We would love to entertain you joining our crew. Extended school year happened over the summer with great success. We had 147 students who were supported in the programs to assist students in maintaining skills throughout the summer months. Despite the heat, the students and staff both worked really hard on their skills. And a huge thank you to Ernest P. Barca for being wonderful hosts. They were very welcoming, very accommodating, and took care of us and our kids. And excuse me, I have a cough tonight. And really, I think kind of the bottom line for special ed is that we work really hard with our programs within the district to keep kids within our schools and to keep, whether it be their neighborhood schools or just within our community. We have programs with the Derry Early Education Program, the Project Managed Environment, intensive structured learning environment, the New England Center for Children partner program. So we service students that are age 3 to 22, and that's in the Derry schools within the community, Pinkerton Academy. We have multiple charter schools in the area right now that we are working with, that we are required to provide that's the specialized instruction, regardless of the fact that they're not in our schools. As well as out-of-district programs with that specialize in certain areas. Lastly, I think I'd like to just make sure I put a plug out to parents that who we serve their children to keep those lines of communication open, reach out if you have questions. There's facilitators in every building. There's the case managers. They're kind of on the ground, working with your child, and make sure you keep those lines of communication open so that we're all working in the same direction.
Questions for Laura?
Yeah, so really kind of three. So you mentioned gap. I'm curious to understand what the need is in the district, both from a teacher and a para standpoint. Second part of that question is, we've talked about this, and I know this is an ongoing issue, and I don't know what it looks like in other districts, but we've talked about this pretty regularly. I'm wondering, and maybe this is for you also, Mike, what are we doing differently, right, to try to attract quality candidates, or to try to attract new talent to the district for special ed needs? And then the last piece, I'm throwing them all at you, something you just touched upon with lines of communication. I'm curious to know how you all are handling communication to the parents in terms of the programs and the needs. Obviously, parents and guardians own some of that, right? There's got to be a partnership there, but what are the folks doing in the building, teachers, administrators, to make sure that there aren't any gaps in communication if something isn't happening, coming from the home?
So I'm going to take the hiring.
Okay, go
I'm going to
ahead.
take the hiring in the second one. What was the first question? I lost track.
The first question is just, do we have head count? So gap to head count. So what's the total number in terms of special ed teachers, paras? Where are we at in terms of a full-time, head count? And then what is the need to get to whole in terms of full-time, so we're not contracting and having to shuffle things around? That's my concern, right? Shuffling things around gets a little squirrely.
Well, it's not meant to be squirrely. It's meant, we've had people who have resigned from positions where we've moved up special ed teachers to facilitator positions. So when I say shuffling, it's people shifting positions within the school.
In regards
So when I hear shuffling, it just means like we have a gap, we're moving somebody. We have a gap, we're moving, like, that's how I understood it.
Yeah, somebody resigned and somebody applied for that position to move into a facilitator position.
We are, in staffing regards, we're probably around 95%, which is much better than we were 3 weeks ago when I was at leadership. We've had some, when you talk about recruiting, Paula in HR has brought new ideas. Coincidentally, I don't know if you've checked your email, but we sent one out about math, 8th grade math, and we put a little note in there that said, if you've thought about teaching or interested, we'll work with you. We got a great candidate, and we are working with them through that email blast. Paula, you'll see through the budgeting process, is going to be putting in for some funds to really push hard to attend local and I'll say wider cast net job fairs. So there's going to cost with travel and hotels and things along those lines. So Paula has a really good framework on what we're trying to do to recruit differently. You've seen the informational pieces that we've put out have been different in regards to maybe simple stuff as graphics. We're also using different websites. We're using Handshake. We're using not just New Hampshire Ed Jobs, thank you. So we are changing our practices in that. I think we've had a little bit better success. Paraprofessionals, I'll say, is a moving target. And I know Laura kind of mentioned that, but sometimes the needs are shared. Sometimes they're one-on-one. Sometimes you get a move-in. So I would stick to about the 90% level on the paraprofessionals. To your big question in regards to communication between, I'll say, an identified student, not necessarily a special ed. It could be a 504 plan. It could be anything. We're really trying to develop that. I'll use the word partnership, like you mentioned. Sure, there's a responsibility of the parent, but we are also the district providing the services and communication. So we're setting some standards in regards to check-ins or balance points, and I know Jamie had reached out last week asking some of the similar questions. We're really trying to close the gap so that frustrations don't build up to a certain level. We want to be able to work with the families, not trying to be reactive. There's a lot of trust that needs to be developed in those relationships specifically, whether it's going good or bad. And this is the exact conversation I had with Jamie. So, that's a work in progress in regards to tightening expectations and communications.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jenna, I saw you reach forward.
You stole my thunder.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Kim, we said we're going to let Clifton go last. All right.
Hello, everyone. So through our vision of our district of learning, we are really building a continuous culture of improvement. And we have done a lot of work this summer. Our teachers have done a lot of work this summer. And I want to shout out to all of the teachers who were extremely dedicated with all of the changes and all of the work that they put in with the curriculum department over the summer. We offered a couple of professional development opportunities for teachers to go and have intensive classes. So one was responsive classroom, and we had 17 teachers go there. And then we had another one that was called OGAP. We've had that for the last 3 years. That is a math framework, and we had 37 teachers there. And I only had 10 spots, and I actually had to open it up because I had such an overwhelming response that I had to write another grant for it. We had some teachers go to project-based learning, and a lot of the task force teams, we have 7 task force teams in the district right now, and all of those went through a common assessment professional development workshop training before they actually started to develop common assessments. So that was really great professional learning this summer. Also, to go with your question, Jason, we also, what's attractive to our district is that we have just put in a new Educator Institute, which Joe is running, and that is also attractive because it's a 3-year process, and so that a lot of districts don't have that. So for 3 years, they have different pathways that they can get off that, but we will have them for 3 years at a time. So that is a lot of support, and other districts don't have that. So that is something that could attract our district. Throughout the summer, we have done a lot of alignment and a lot of revamping of our competencies and our standards. So we, for ELA for K through 4, Erin Chouinard, who is our elementary learning coordinator, she started she led the task force team, and she really aligned all of our curriculum to the science of reading. So we updated all of the writing components. They had this last year, but we aligned everything so that it's in one big unit at a time, and the teachers can have that. The other thing for elementary math, we developed common assessments through that task force, and so that will be continuous work throughout this year. We have realigned math for 7th and 8th grade and also algebra, so that we have now a vertical alignment K through 8 and algebra that is a little deeper in the standards and the competencies across the district. And then we had CARES team meet, and Mitch Edwards led that team, and they revamped all of the first 6 weeks of school and all of the standards for CARES, and developed really great slides and great activities for kids. And so this was all done by our teachers. We had wellness. We added 2 new wellness teachers, and they also met together and developed their curriculum 5 through 8, so that it is aligned on wellness. And our big one is we revamped our ELA. It is a for 5th grade through 8th grade. That was the biggest undertaking this summer. We had task force teams, 2 task force teams that came together, and we talked about standards, we talked about competencies, we aligned the I CAN statements to the program. We're now using Open Up, which is an evidence-based resource, has writing, vocabulary, language, word foundations, all of it combined into that with a high level of rigor for reading comprehension. And that they came for office hours. We had, common assessments. We have all of that laid out and lined up for them. So that was a lot, and so that is going well. So that is our update.
Questions for Kim?
Yeah, I had a quick question. So when you were saying about the workshops that happened over the summer and that it was a really good turnout, 37 for one of them, 17 for another one.
Yep.
What incentives are there for teachers to go to these workshops aside, because I know that they continue to get, is it credits for their degree? Are they required by the state, or are they required by this district to do a certain amount of workshops? And on the same line, what hurdles are there to getting all teachers to participate in these things? Because I personally believe, everyone should be learning all the time, and you can't be teaching for 10 years and think that you have everything. There's always more to know. So where are we lacking as far as getting more teachers to go to this? And what's the hurdles there to getting everybody to do these?
So some of the hurdles are that we don't really have a lot of professional development full days in our schedule during the school year. So a lot of this happens during the summertime. And so our teachers are so dedicated that they do this. It's voluntary. So we have to, we don't mandate it in the summer. They have to, if they are interested, they go to that. And as you can see, we have a lot of teachers that do partake in that. Their incentive is that they have better teaching and, OGAP for one. I mean, I don't even have to sell OGAP. If it's a teacher goes to it and then they tell their colleague, and it's just that good of a framework that they want to go to, that it's just hard because it all happens in the summertime. And so, I mean, it's not mandated. And what was your second?
So the incentive, right?
Yeah.
So the challenge is a lot of our professionals have second jobs in the summer. So trying to find those windows that people are more accessible. I'm going to be working with Kim. We had a high level of success in previous districts. If school were to end on, Tuesday, really opening those days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so the week's not over, trying to target them really early on in the summer before they start their second job or they travel, whatever may or may not be. Money is really some of the driver, right? So what's the rate here? What do we pay in the summer? 40, 30?
30.
30. We might have to evaluate the competitiveness of what it is, because you can make more money getting a part-time job than sometimes working here. It's an intriguing statement you made in regards to how do we get them in, I think we have to provide meaningful work that they want to do, but also benefits to show up and do the work.
And also an incentive too is, in addition to that, is that we also have to have a certain amount of hours to keep our license, and so that those professional development hours go towards that as well.
Thank you.
I have a question on the Educator Institute. Can you give an example of what that might look like, the learning path, kind of expected outcomes?
I'm going to give that to Joe because he's taking it over.
Thanks.
Sure. So the Educator Institute is a 3-year orientation onboarding program for new educators to our district. So it includes kind of like a phased or tiered set of supports. Year 1 is really focused on ensuring that they have a strong foundation of instructional skills and strategies. They understand the sort of overarching organizational structure of the district. They begin to develop a sense of belonging in our district. Core sort of experiences in that first year. All of our new educators are assigned a one-to-one mentor, so an experienced educator from our district. Those people applied to become mentors. They are compensated. They receive a stipend for mentoring. So built into the framework is I think it's bi-weekly 30-minute one-on-one meetings. So about an hour a month that they meet, and there's log sheets that the mentors track all their meetings. We fleshed out a series of topics that we kind of organized by time of the year. So a certain point of time, looking at data and understanding our data, such as NWEA, may be new to some people. In addition, in year 1, there's an expectation that they do 3 reciprocal observations with their mentor. So these are non-evaluative coaching opportunities. We've created some templates, some forms to help support what that looks like. But for instance, if you were my mentor, you would come in and observe me 3 times, and we would have a dialogue about what you see. I would come in and observe you 3 times, and we'd have a dialogue. None of that goes to administration. It's non-evaluative. It's all just set up to be coaching and support. Year 2, we start focusing a bit more on developing them as leaders. We have right now, we're in year 1 of this, so all of this is on paper. We haven't done it yet, but looking to introduce some literature, so perhaps a book discussion with our new educators. And then year 3, continued leadership training. And what's important, I think, or what another important aspect of this is not just the new educators are getting training, so they attend monthly sessions. Actually, the first one is tomorrow. So I will be meeting, along with Dr. Dancy, we'll be meeting with all of our new educators in 2 small groups. So there'll be an elementary group, and then there'll be an intermediate middle group. Additionally, the mentors also do monthly training sessions. This year, they're led by G&D Associates, and they're focused on how to be an effective coach, how to give non-evaluative feedback, how to support a peer, because it can be really hard for peers to give their own peers feedback, right? So we're really focused on both supporting mentors and new educators. In this handbook that Kim and I worked on over the summer, we also acknowledge that there will be some new educators that may not need 3 years of onboarding. For instance, if we hire somebody who's got 25 years of teaching experience and they just happen to come to our district, we're committed to the first year of the program, which is a mentor. At the end of year one, there'll be a discussion between the new educator and their supervisor, their principal, to determine whether or not they should exit the program because they've sort of moved beyond a lot of the needs of the program. But, for some of our very, very new educators who are coming right out of college, maybe this is their first career position in education, we think a 3-year development cycle of onboarding is really, really important. So as Kim said, it's not super common in other districts, but we did look around and look at what some other people did, and I think we picked from some of the best that we saw out there. So that's probably more than you need, but that's what I got. If you have other questions.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that.
Any other questions for Kim?
Kim, can you just explain to people who don't know what OGAP is, what it is?
It's so funny. I wrote down acronyms. So as a leadership group, we are not going to use acronyms in front of the public or the board. And every time we do, you will be fined $1.
That's actually the name.
Touche, but you said, someone said NEWA earlier, and so we're going to do a better job of explaining
OGAP
this.
is really the name of it, but it does mean ongoing assessment project, but no one ever says that. It really is OGAP. That's what it says. So, but it's really a great program. It has 4 different sections of it. It all goes through the different maths, so like additive, multiplicative, fractions, proportional. And they're all for different grade level spans. And so what they do is you sit down and they teach you different strategies of teaching math. So it goes with any program out there, and it really does break it down and makes you really think about different ways of teaching it, why it's all based on progression. So it talks about, why a kid can't do this if they haven't done these 3 things before that. So really everything is based on a progression of learning of math, and that's really how we rebuilt all of our maps, our curriculum maps is on a progression of learning. So it makes a lot of sense, and it really talks about the formative assessments and how they can group kids and look for evidence in their math problems and how they think. It's not just about the algorithm, but it's about number sense and counting collections and how we can do fractions all the way down to kindergarten level and how we are starting that process so that it's not just a need or a gap in the upper grades. So it really is a wonderful, it's intense. It's a 4-day intense program, but it really is awesome. And I had a few administrators go to it, and they were they said if they learned this math this way, then they would be great at math. I'm going to keep their names to myself.
Further questions for Kim?
All right.
Hey, thank you,
Kim.
Last but not least, Dr. Dancy. Paula is out sick today. She'll be coming to a future board meeting to talk about human resources. All right.
Good evening. First of all, this summer has been extremely busy. The start of school has been extremely busy. We welcomed Dylan King. We welcomed Tyler back in February. We welcomed Dylan King at the beginning of the summer, joining our staff, and we're glad that he's here. He's a next graduate, one of under Joe's tutelage there, and we were really glad to have him. Also, over the summer, we had a fantastic, awesome student intern help us out. his mother sitting over there beaming, and we had a really good time with Vince this summer as well. And our offices moved. We moved from the Gilbert Hood building. Now we are in the basement at Grinnell, and you should see it. It's pretty cool. We're kind of liking being out of the public eye. One of the big things that we did this year was our wireless refresh with our wireless access points. Turned out to be a little bit bigger project than we had anticipated. We had to rework our entire way of distributing our networks. We have filtered networks and we have unfiltered networks, and used to have a big box that everything would travel through in our server room, and then it would go out to the internet, and it was inside the box that we disaggregated who was going to get filtered and who wasn't. Well, these new wireless access points go straight to the internet. And so we had to reconfigure all of who's going to get the filtered network and who's going to get the unfiltered network. And that took a little bit longer than we thought, but we are there. Today we had our installation crew coming through doing a spot check for dead areas and making adjustments to all of the new wireless access points, and giving us some tips about how our Promethean boards were actually emitting a broadcast signal that was slowing down our network, so we can do some settings there. We learned a lot of stuff today, so it was really good about that. All 6 of the buildings were refreshed with those wireless access points. Unfortunately, E-rate doesn't cover the SAU, so now I'm getting a bid on the 5 or 6 devices that we'll take to do the SAU, and we hope to have that done before the end of October. We also deployed all of our new MacBook Airs to the teachers, and they were very happy to get those. We actually got most of all that done before the end of the school year, and so they're all working on very nice machines that are better than the ones that the administrators have now. So I think they all feel really good about that because they're not slow anymore. We distributed our new Chromebooks to the 5th grade, and we repurposed the 4th grade Chromebooks into carts for the 1st grade. As we talked about last year in the Fiscal Advisory Committee, we will no longer be sending 1st grade Chromebooks home with students on a daily basis. They will only need to take them home whenever there's inclement weather that's forecasted that we think we might need them at home. And that progression is going to continue throughout all of the elementary, either over a 4-year period, or we may accelerate it and just do it all at once and get it over with. And we will still only buy half of the number that we were purchasing. I say half, but we'll probably have to add in a few more, because you do have to replenish some of these ones in the carts, because they will get old. We'll talk more about that later. Also, a big job this summer was to rebuild all of the staff email groups so that we could get very granular on all of the people that we're emailing. There have been many times in the past when we've wanted to email just the DEA, people covered in the DEA or in the AFSCME contract, and it's been very difficult to do that without getting correct groups. So I spent quite a few weeks this summer redoing that and created about 650 new groups of our staff emails. In transportation, if you will remember, at this time last year, we had some buses not arriving to Pinkerton till around 3 o'clock. And there were lots of angry people. We didn't have that this year. All of our buses have been getting to Pinkerton right about the same time that they were getting there at the end of last year. Our buses have been consistently doing all 3 of the tiers of runs within 2 hours. So almost every day they have been clocking in before 4 o'clock. They start at 2 o'clock, they end at 4 o'clock, and that's all 3 tiers. So I'm very happy about that. Haven't had a whole lot of complaints coming my way. There's always going to be 1 or 2, so I'm not going to say I'm 100%, but it's looking much better than we did at the start of last year. In October, we'll be starting a school start times task force, which some of you will be a part of that committee, and we'll be inviting teachers and community members and administrators to be a part of that as well. That's pretty much all I have. Jeremy, I think I was quick.
Any questions from the board for Dr. Dancy?
I have a quick tech question, and I don't know if it goes to you or maybe a little to you. With the rolling back of not sending the Chromebooks home with the first graders, and you said it's going to continue up. What grade first is that going to be stopping at? Is that K through 5? Or is it K through 4?
K through 4. In
K through 4.
Fifth grade will always receive the new Chromebooks to keep through intermediate and middle school, because those students regularly take them home and use them.
Okay, that was my main question. I wasn't sure if there was a pullback on, there seemed to be a huge appeal to have every single kid have their own technology. A few years ago when this first got rolled out, and a lot of it was COVID, and now I'm just wondering, is there now a pullback where the teachers are seeing like they don't want the kids to have as much access to technology?
Well,
or
we still have one-to-one. We still have enough devices for every student to have a device. Every one of those elementary teachers also have a bag that has a charger in it, so that if they needed to send a Chromebook home, they just take it out of the cart, put it in the bag, send it home.
I would say that the way, I hear what he's saying, but I think it's, the necessity for it to be home every day is less than it was before. So it's more about now sending the kids home with whatever is necessary, not needing to be on a device once they get home as well. As he said, once you get to 5th grade, the curriculum changes. It's a little bit more student needed. So that's how they're assessing. They're basically reevaluating what you were saying.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That's it. Thank you, Dr. Dancy.
Thank you.
All right. You guys can go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, have a good night. All right. Do you want to pull up?
All right.
Sorry. I thought we were at that presentation, but we're not.
Nope, not quite yet. All right, thank you for those reports. I think this, along with the regular reports you're going to be getting from the principals, I think that's going to go a long way toward keeping the board and the community updated on, everything that's going on in the district, and now everyone's working as a team.
Thank you.
So next up will be delegations and individuals. At this time, residents of Derry, parents of currently enrolled Derry students, and employees of the district may address the school board on matters that pertain only to school and district business for a period of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. As a reminder, questions cannot be answered in real time. If you would like to speak, please come up to the microphone at this time and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Erica Leon. I live at 84 Shanita Road, and I'm one of Derry's 10 state representatives. First off, I want to say how delighted I am with what I've heard already at this meeting. What I heard about the curriculum development is fantastic, and I think that this is something that could lead to the Derry schools attracting students from surrounding communities if the open enrollment interdistrict transfer law passes, because I think we're a shining star, and I think that a lot of people want to go to school in Derry. Also, the Educator Institute is fantastic. I think that really would help us find a great opportunity for some of the non-traditional entrants into teaching, and I think that there's a lot that people have to offer when they've had other life experiences. So thank you for doing that. I think that is absolutely wonderful. The reason I came today is regarding some of the serious allegations regarding a student's experience at Pinkerton. I want to emphasize that the accountability for operations and policy at Pinkerton resides with the board of directors, not with sending school districts like this SAU, not with the sending towns like Derry, and not with the taxpayers of them. This is something that was created when Pinkerton was formed as a nonprofit by the state back in 1814. We can probably look to some parallels between that and the Dartmouth College versus Woodward, because there's a lot of autonomy that was granted by the state both to Dartmouth and to Pinkerton. What we do need to do is look at what processes for accountability we do have. One of the things that Pinkerton answers to is the state laws about licensure as a school. So we as legislators are looking to make sure that there aren't any holes or gaps. Right now, it's very clear that if there's a student-on-student incident, there is a requirement under school licensing to report that to police on a certain time basis. We don't have that for employees because I think when the law went into effect, nobody really imagined that, and nobody really imagined that it might not be reported. So this is the idea of a belt and suspenders approach, because If criminal things happened, the criminal process will deal with that. But some in between that is an area where licensure with the State Board of Education, the Department of Education, and others can step in and try and make sure that the policies are correct, because sometimes it helps to have an outside voice to make sure that people are doing the right thing. I am hopeful that all of this is resolved in a good way as best as possible, given the serious nature of those allegations. And I just want to make sure that you all know that I support the fact that the Derry School District contracts with Pinkerton. They are the school that we send people to for high school. We're limited by the contract that we have, and Pinkerton is responsible for the operation of Pinkerton. I will communicate if we do move forward with any laws. Our bill filing starts next week. If we put anything in to try and fill any gaps in the licensure, and if we put something in and then find out it's not necessary, we can always put the brakes on it. But if we don't get this process started, it could be another year before we improve the licensing statutes. So, thank you, and anybody can contact me with any questions if you need to. Thank you all.
Thank you, Erica.
Good evening.
Can't hear you.
Good evening.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Couldn't help myself.
I didn't say anything. I think you're finally getting trained, you know. But anyhow, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, my name, Richard Tripp, 44 Wyndham Road. I don't know how many people are aware of it, but I sit on the zoning board, and we are in kind of a little bit of chaos right now because we had a bill pass, House Bill 577, which changed a lot of the rules for I'm not going to use an acronym, accessory dwelling units. I appreciate you're not using acronyms because that usually causes me to get up and say, what are you talking about?
Sure.
You know, and schools usually use a lot of acronyms. Anyhow, so the town is having to catch up on this new law, which means that they have to redo the accessory dwelling unit ordinance and get it passed by the town council. Well, one of the things that this kind of piqued my interest in was there was a bill that passed, Senate Bill 206, which changed the access of students to their electronic devices. That being the case, I went on the school board website and I did a search of the policies, and there's no electronic device policy as of yet. I did notice that the principal for Gilbert H. Hood did put a notice out saying that students may not use personal devices, blah, 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 blah. The only thing that I found lacking in this was that there was no notification as to what the penalty for using your electronic devices during school would be, and what the consequence of repeated violations would be. I also noted that the Policy Review Committee hasn't been scheduled yet. So I don't know, is the Policy Review Committee going to be the one developing the new cell phone usage policy? If so, I would hope that there'd be some sort of compliance plan, within this. I also did a search of the Department of Education site, and I found that 49 of the schools in the state have already submitted their policies to the Department of Education. So, if possible, when this policy is being developed, I would like to be informed so that I could attend the committee meeting, so they have a little bit more insight into, the rationale behind what's being put in the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Sure.
Thank you. In regard to the cell phone ban, I would highly encourage that there's a first time free, the rest of them cost a lot policy, so that a student is able, if there's an emergency, not to have to say, Mom, I got in trouble because X, Y, or Z, but maybe the second time there's a severe enough consequence that nobody wants to burn up that first get out of jail free card. So that is my suggestion. That was one of the reasons why I supported it, because there are some very good reasons to have a cell phone, but they're also highly distractive. So thank you, and thank you for letting me come back up.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Carden, 2 Cunningham Drive. I wasn't going to speak, but when Richard and Ms. Leon brought up cell phone use, I will chime in on that. I retired 10 years ago, and I will tell you my number one discipline problem by far was cell phone use. And it was constant all day long. Put your cell phone away, put your cell phone away. I had a big, long desk. I taught culinary arts, so my kitchen was my classroom. So I had a big long desk, and so every once in a while, probably 2 or 3 times a year, I would get this, what we call offense cards, that we would write a student up and send it into their building master who would take care of their discipline. And so every once in a while, when I had it, I just write out 10 of them, just put cell phone use, sign my name, and just tape it on. The kids would come and look at it and like, okay. And the probably first 2 or 3 days, I get rid of all of them. And that really solved the problem for, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then, of course, they went back. And, it wasn't something that I could use all the time because, eventually it just becomes ridiculous. You can't keep using the same technique. But I wish you all luck with the cell phone policy. It's going to be difficult for everybody, for teachers, students, parents, board members, administrators. So good luck.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom? Not seeing anyone else come up to the microphone, we will move on with the meeting. However, the public comment period will remain open until 7:41 p.m. If you wish to speak prior to that time, approach the microphone and I will recognize you at the next break in the agenda. I did want to note, I do believe we have a policy, JICL, that states students should keep personally owned devices, including laptops, tablets, smartphones, cell phones, and other mobile devices turned off and put away during school hours, unless in the event of an emergency or as instructed by a teacher or staff for educational purposes. So we do have a policy that's been in place. It's been in place for many years, but when the policy committee does get together, I'm sure that they'll be looking at that policy to make sure that it's in full compliance with the new law. All right, next up will be student member updates. So Anthony, welcome back for another year as the Pinkerton representative, and you're up.
Thank you. I'm going to keep it short. Big thing I want to talk about is cell phones, as has already been discussed, but Pinkerton decided to do a bell-to-bell ban. So start of the first class until start of until end of the last class. Can't use your phones. That includes lunch, passing periods going in between buildings, study halls, free periods, etc. As a student, I must say I did not take it as hard as I thought I would, kind of treating it as a detox, and I think a lot of students in the district are going to find the same thing. I feel we've kind of been bred into using our cell phones constantly, so it'll have a positive impact, I think. And besides that, the school year is off to a pretty good start. Sports are in full swing. All the clubs have started. The club fair was this past Friday. And I'm looking forward to a strong year, my last year. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
Hey, Anthony, I have a quick question. I don't know if you have a pipeline to the higher-ups over there. The club fair, I understand that it's run during lunch and that the kids have to miss their lunch to go over to club fair. Is that correct?
Yes, I am the president of a club, so I had to miss my lunch.
Is there any discussion when they talk with the kids or whoever organizes it about maybe another format to have the club fair or when to run the club fair? Because that sounds, and it wasn't even announced this year beforehand. Normally there's like a heads up, and then it just kind of happened this year. So a lot of kids ended up missing it.
I agree. Me and the officers in the club that I run were pretty disappointed, not only that it wasn't really advertised well, but it was also the first week of the school year. So we didn't really have the opportunity to advertise it if we could. And as for when it is lunch, it is tough. I don't really know of another time they could, besides maybe flex period. I know this year all of the freshmen went during flex, and sophomores, juniors, and seniors went during their lunch. So that could be a solution, but they'd also kind of have to do shifts, because having, 3,000 students in the Shepherd Auditorium isn't going to go well. So, yeah, I could see there being room for improvement, and I will bring that up with admin when I meet with them again.
Because I mean, it's a great thing, and there's, 70 clubs that are the Pinkerton offers, but if you can't get to that one window of that one time of lunch, you don't know about half of them unless it's word of mouth. So I think that there's definitely room for improvement. So maybe you can work your way up the chain and work on that.
Unless there's word of mouth, or they happen to stumble upon the social media page, or if they happen to have a teacher that runs the club and advertises it. So yeah, I will bring that up.
All right, Anthony, it was good to see you behind the microphone at the football game on Friday. Good first broadcast.
Yeah, this is my second year doing that. With Owen. Owen's not here, but one thing I do with Derry TV is I'm the play-by-play for Pinkerton football for home games. So we had our first home game last Friday. We shut out Wyndham High School 28-0, so that's nice. Next home game is the MacPlac game, which I'll get into at the next update. The football game is the 26th at 7 p.m., if you want it on your calendar.
All right, thanks, Anthony. All right, next up will be deliberations. We have one item tonight, which is going to be the Derry Village School Advisory Committee. So at our last meeting, we set as one of our goals for this year to form an advisory committee to study and make a recommendation on the future of the Derry Village School property. So the goal for tonight will be to discuss and form that committee, and then we'll come back around in 2 weeks and confirm the membership.
Already rolling.
Next slide. So the issue at hand, the Derry Village School closed at the end of 23-24 school year. The building has been used sporadically since then. It's effectively vacant with no staff or programs housed in the building. The Facilities Department has been maintaining minimal systems to protect the integrity of the building, and the property does include 2 baseball fields and 1 softball field that are regularly used by the Derry Diamond Association. All right, now what is an advisory committee? An advisory committee is going to be different from the board's standing committees, which are more like work groups for board members and administrators to drill down into a major regular topic. An advisory committee is going to be given a specific charge and a time frame within which it's expected to complete its work. It's going to exist for as long as it takes to complete that work. So in addition to board members and administrators, the board can also bring in community members and other interested parties to lend their expertise as active participants in the process. The committee's report and recommendation would go to the board, and as the word advisory implies, the ultimate decision-making authority resides with the board. What would this specific committee be tasked with? So the board set a goal to form a committee that would be tasked with studying options for the future of the Derry Village School and property. The committee would gather information on the options, look at budgetary impacts, community impacts, and long-range planning. This committee is going to meet in public meetings with the opportunity for public comment, and the goal is to produce a report with its recommendation by the end of the year. Who will serve on this committee? So I've consulted with Mike on the administration participants. He will serve on the committee, and he's also going to nominate Joe, Jane, and Jeremy to represent the administration with him. We'll also have 3 board members serve on the committee. From the town and community side, Mike has been in touch with Town Administrator Mike Fowler, and he's nominated Beverly Donovan, the town's Economic Development Director, to serve on the committee. I've also been in touch with Chairman Foote from the Town Council. He's going to be polling his members of their interest at their meeting next week, and he's going to let me know of their nominee. We'd also like to have 3 to 5 community members, so residents of Derry, to serve on the committee. If you're interested in serving, to give you an idea of what to expect, the committee is going to meet regularly over a condensed period of time. So if you have the time to give, and particularly if you have expertise that is relevant to the committee's work, real estate, construction, something similar, and you'd be willing to provide that expertise, please consider serving. So our next steps, once we wrap our conversation tonight, I'm going to ask for a motion to form the committee. To the rest of the board and anyone out there in town who would be interested in serving as a community member, you can reach out to Jen and I over the next week with your interest. The expectation is to have nominations for the board and community members for the board to vote on at the September 23rd meeting. So from there, the appointed committee would set a meeting schedule conducive to its goal of producing a report by the end of the year.
Calendar year or school year?
Calendar year. For, so we have a report before we have to finalize the budget. So, questions?
Do we have any idea about, I know we haven't even really figured out what we're doing with the committee yet, but do we have any idea about how often we might meet, just so people are aware about how much time they're going to be dedicating to this committee?
Yeah, so the end of the year was the target. I think I would actually probably like to be more aggressive, but they were protecting me in regards to in that. So thank you. So I could envision it being formed on the 23rd of September, and then October having four to six meetings. So whether that equals at least once a week, if not twice a week, and then when we get into November, I can target probably another 2 to 4. So I'm thinking 10 meetings within 2 months to get something really to us by November, whether it's a foundational piece, whether it's a targeted piece. But we want to have more of a clear vision on what we want to do as we're starting to finalize the budget. I would say committee membership what we've been doing is an hour meeting. And then really who's on the committee determines what time that would be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, if we have no more questions or comments, I will take a motion to form the Derry Village School Advisory Committee and task it with studying options for the future of the Derry Village School and property and producing a report by the end of this year.
So moved.
First by Jason.
Second.
Second by Jenna. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Michael, how would you like the board to communicate their interest to you? Same way?
Yep, you can email Jen and I, and we will poll everybody's interest, and we'll have nominations at the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, next up is going to be administration reports. So Jane, you are up with your business administrator's update.
Okay, I included quite a few financial reports in your board packet for this board meeting. I included the year-to-date revenues, year-to-date expenditures, and for year-to-date, that would be July 1 of 2025 up until we ran the financials last week until September 4th. So those have been included. I also included all of the bond projects that have taken place and the expenses that have been paid to date.
We actually had a couple of expenses we paid in the check run today, but those would not be included. I gave some notes with regards to the financial updates. We have encumbered the full amount of the budget for Pinkerton since we don't have their enrollment yet. We're going to be getting the first bill in October, and it will be for the first 90 days of school. And then I will put in more accurate encumbrances for that, for both general education as well as special education. You may have noticed in the financial report also, quite a few of the benefits related to salaries and some of the salaries have not been fully encumbered. We're still working on that since we just had the first pay. Those will all be updated prior to the next financial update in October. Same thing with utilities. We're still working on doing the encumbrances. And I also put in my report regarding special education costs that Laura and I have been working on and keeping a close eye on. Part of those are due to some of, like, we talked about the unfilled positions, and so some people we're having contracted. However, grants are being written, and the majority of the contracted services will be moved to federal funds. I just also want to update. I work closely with David Clapp, who is our treasurer, and he is working with I don't want to say the acronym, but it's PDIP, so it's the
$1.
a dollar. But it's the public investment pool where we approved having our bond proceeds go to. So when we have issued payment for any of the bond work, David transfers it from the public investment pool to our general citizens account, and he's only transferring when we're issuing checks. So we are able to get the most amount of interest in the public investment pool. And to date, when he was tracking 31 days of citizens, we had earned $19,126.91 in our general citizens account. And in our bond account, can I use the acronym?
Yes, you can use it. Once you explain it, you are then allowed to use it.
PDIP, so the bond account, PDIP in 16 days had earned $48,814.47 in interest. So we work closely with David on that. Whenever we have a process in-house, whenever we're issuing checks that are bond related, we send them electronically to David, he approves the manifest, and then he transfers the dollar amount that we are going to expend. And so we have a great little system, and it's all documented, and he only transfers in just the amount that we need. So we're able to get the most amount of interest because the interest is higher in the bond account than it is our general account. And we are continuing. We are still in the midst of 2 audits, and I'm still working on the DOE 25 that'll be coming to you hopefully by the next board meeting to get signed by the board. And lastly, I just want to mention food service. Our director, Christina Lebelzik, is continuing to work closely with our families, processing a lot of applications. I don't want to steal Mike's video thunder, so I'm going to let him talk about that. He can talk about how many more we've received, but we have been receiving a lot of applications, and Christina has been able to help quite a few families on the phone. We still have families who are actually direct certified by the state, but they're filling out applications, which is sort of duplicative for them, so because they're already approved. But so I think she's doing a really great job in that area.
No, I'll save it for my end. Go ahead.
You want to save it?
I'll save mine for the end, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the finances?
What time is it?
Yes, he's got 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes. However, we hold the public comment until after we've concluded the agenda item. So once we've
I'm going to ask my
Jane's
one
report.
question, and then you can. Forgive me if it was in there because I missed it. The grant that we put in for the work at West Running Brook. Is there any update on that grant?
We're still working with the state on that.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I will notify you as soon as I have a yes or no on anything.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Jane for her director's update?
Where are we with free and reduced enrollment compared to last year, for example?
All right, I'll talk about it now. So yesterday we sent out the video I've been working on with a company that I had connected with last year. So as of the video last night, it was confirmed that it went to 4,216 opens through our Parent Square. And I met with Christina this morning as I was walking up. We've already seen an increase just in one day. On Wednesday, we're going to post it to socials, and then on Friday, I meet with Dr. Powers tomorrow. I anticipate trying to send it out to our Pinkerton students on Friday to continue to get that hit Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'd say the numbers right now are level, but we're seeing positive signs only one day in. The video was really just to train the community on how to apply, why to apply, the rationale behind it. And it's really seen some growth. We definitely want to make up for the 1% that we lost, for sure, but then we also want to make sure the real goal is that the families feel supported. That's the goal, right? And the goal is to feed the students. Whether it's reduced, some people not even sure if they qualify. That's why on the video it says submit. The worst thing that can happen is no. So I feel great about some of the moves we're making in supporting the families in the community to make sure that they are getting the access they need.
All right. That's great news on the PDIP account. That's
great news on that.
Great.
All right. Any more questions for Jane? All right. Next up is going to be Mike with his draft goals. Sorry. Yeah.
Hello again, Richard Tripp, 44 Wyndham Road. I want to thank Jane for her excellent report. Of course, when she started talking about how much money that we're earning in revenue, I immediately wondered how much our monthly interest payments are. Are we in the red or the black with the interest?
We actually had, I know it's habit, we actually we don't make a payment until February, so.
Oh, well, they're definitely in the black.
So we're in the black.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So it is 7:41 p.m., so the public comment period is now closed. Next up is going to be Mike with his draft goals. As we'll remember, we voted on the board's goals for this year at the last meeting. There was also a quick mention of how there will be goals throughout the organization. So each board committee is going to have goals, each director and principal is going to have goals, and Mike, as the superintendent, is going to have goals.
Thank you. So as again, I'm going to keep reiterating it, not just for you guys, but as the public, as we're establishing new norms, this is a new norm that not only will you be establishing goals, I will be establishing goals, and you'll see how everything connects. That's the real purpose of the board and the communication to the community. So about 18 minutes ago, I shared with you my draft goals. I met with Michael and Jen this morning at leadership to review them. They offered great feedback, some constructive criticism, and I worked through some of those to present to you a draft. The purpose of this is to communicate to the community that I'm sharing with you the draft, but it's your 2 weeks to review them, right? So you get to go in there, take a look, you can add comments, and then when we come back in 2 weeks, we're looking to finalize and vote on my goals so that you can then see the trickle-down effect from not only director's goals, but principal goals, building goals, and teacher goals. So I hope you take some time. As I was explaining to Michael and Jen this morning at leadership, I really wanted to tie it to you guys this year, where after we get our bearings or we establish our new norms, you might see me veer a little bit in the following years coming up, where what you have versus what I have. But I really wanted to help develop the structure and organization, as I've said through my interview process, so that the community can really grasp the purpose of not only what my role is with you, but what your role is with the community, and then what my role is with my administrative staff and teaching staff. So please take a look. You'll never hurt my feelings. The goal is to provide feedback so that you feel comfortable with what I'm going to be moving towards. And then the real key is down at number 7, you're going to see a monitoring and reporting section. We're going to check in these goals. We're going to check in January. We're going to check again in March. You're going to evaluate on whether I'm doing a good job or not doing a good job. And when I was going through the interview process and I talked about accountability starts with me. And you guys holding me accountable, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and then it transitions and trickles down. So please take the time to review. Please take the time to either shoot me an email, give me a call, but I'd like to finalize these in 2 weeks. So, any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
We'll keep it with you for your superintendent's update.
So superintendent's update, I actually want to take a moment to talk about Miss Murphy. She was actually a mentor of mine, and man, I saw her in May, and she's like, "You're going to do awesome in Derry." And she never had anything bad to say about this place. And she said that I was going to be a perfect fit, and she knew my skill set, and she knew what I was capable of. She didn't know that to me. And I went through a couple tough things in Hopkinton, in Concord, right down the road, and she was the first one to shoot me a text saying, "Keep your head up. You'll get through this. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've done." She is just an amazing human being, and the impact not only that she had here, but as a state level leader, she was really big into the armed forces and supporting families that have been transitioning and moving throughout. So I can't say enough nice things about her. I just wanted to reiterate that. Free and reduced, I mentioned, and then in your packet tonight, you saw a new format for the nomination forms. So also looking for feedback on that. Trying to transition a little bit on who we're nominating so that you're getting the right pieces of information and you feel comfortable with what's going on. So that was some early feedback you guys gave me a couple meetings ago. So we made a little tweaks to it through Human Resource. Let me know. And then 2 more things. One is Jane. I need to publicly acknowledge how difficult a transition can be with a new superintendent, and Jane has been nothing but outstanding and supportive with me, and especially when I threw her early curveballs, whether it was transitioning Jeremy out or having ideas, but more recently as we've been sitting through a couple meetings and I'm like, okay, here's what I want to do and here's what I'm looking for. She's done nothing like, okay, I'll look into that, I'll call this person, we'll work together. It's going to be challenging with me going through the budgeting process, and I've acknowledged that with her because I'm looking for new things or want to try some different stuff, but she's been nothing but how can I help and what can I do? So thank you, Jane, for my transition. It's definitely made my life a lot easier. And I always say when Jeremy comes up and presents, don't you feel better that you don't have to do that? So it's been a little bit of a transition period. So thank you to Jane. And then to Mr. Tripp's point, I just wanted to, it was actually on my list, as you saw it earlier, but we do have a policy in place that is for the cell phones. And what I was waiting on and received yesterday was the technical advisory from the Commissioner of Education. So Mrs. Davis had sent out a final technical advisory from the state, and which really helps support the districts on developing a more structured policy aligned with the bill. So I look forward to that. And one of the rules of the bill was public participation. So we'll definitely be reaching out as we move towards the finalizing of the new updated policy. So that's it from me.
All right. Questions for Mike? All right. Next up is going to be committee reports. So over the last couple of weeks since our last meeting, we've had our first committee meetings under the new co-chair structure. So as each committee meets, the board co-chairs are going to be expected to give a report on their committee's work at the following board meeting. So we've had 2 committees meet, and we will start with the Facilities Committee and Jason.
All right, great, thanks. So Facilities Committee met last Thursday. In addition to the committee members, we had Honeywell and Mark Jobin in attendance. Honeywell presented updates on the South Range HVAC project and are finalizing the design and drawings for that project. Big item that we discussed was the boiler. The plan is to add another unit, as we've kind of talked about throughout. What we talked about that day was redundancy to ensure no disruption to students and school operations in the event of failure during the winter months. So the plan, at least coming out of the committee, the recommendation was to have another boiler installed. The flip side of that is it would require some additional structural work. So coming out of the recommendation, Honeywell is moving forward with design and pricing. They'll be soliciting final pricing for everything, and we'll present the results at the plan is to present the results at the 11/13 school board meeting. I'd like to kind of just highlight that the board must be prepared to make a vote that evening and move forward, and Mike and Michael will kind of present out expectations, but material and info will be shared with the board in late October prior to the meeting. It'll be communicated at that time, but please reach out to Jeremy and or myself with any questions around the material, the numbers, the figures, the drawings, the plans, or anything like that prior to the 11/13 school board meeting. So really the goal here is November 28th for contract execution. And this is really compressed, it's tight, there's a lot happening, but as we see, there's a ton of work that needs to be done at South Range. And the goal is to have everything done in summer of 2026. So we really all, as a board, have to be ready to ask questions and come together and come at that meeting to vote and move forward with whatever direction the board decides. Also discuss the ventilation units. As a reminder, I know we're kind of going back, but we talked about it a lot, but all of the units except for one are well past the rated service life. 8 out of 9 units to be exact, with the 9th unit really just being only 2 years from reaching its expected service life. So the big part of the project, there's a lot of moving parts. So the projects have to happen either sequentially or in tandem: the roof, the structure, the facade, the rooftop units, the ventilation. So the entire roof is being completed, and the goal here is to move in stages so the work can happen all at the same time in the summer. It's like what we saw at West Running Brook this past summer, really get everything knocked out. So it's going to be a lot, but I know there's been a lot of questions of the board and of the committee and the community as to when things will happen. So we would like to see these projects being completed next summer. As I said, Mark Jobin was there, and as another reminder, he's really there to kind of help the board and administration with regards to the minutia, the nitty-gritty of the projects, and really to hold the vendors, so Honeywell and all of our vendors and contractors, accountable to milestones and deadlines, as well as deliverables. So, we've contracted with him, and I think what we've seen over the years, but particularly with the current projects, is that that's money well spent. To have somebody, and I like to say boots on the ground, but have somebody there walking the projects, walking the facilities, and really looking at things under a microscope and reporting back. I want to remind you, he works for us, right? He works for the district, he works for the board. He is there to ensure that the dollars that the community entrusted us with are being spent correctly, and we're getting value for dollar on the projects, and we're getting what the contractors have committed to when they bid out and when we've awarded. So I just wanted to highlight that. And we also set the meeting schedule for the committee. We're going to meet bi-weekly. And, I think what we also talked about is we're going to meet when we need to meet and when we need to discuss topics as fast and as quick as possible, given the timelines and, the amount and the scope of the projects being done in the window of the bond. So as of now, bi-weekly, and, we did that over the last few years, but we're going to be aggressive, we're going to push, and we're going to make sure these projects are done on time and on budget. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions?
To your point about the South Range boiler, so what they originally had in their original design was called a backpack boiler, right?
Yeah.
That would basically it would keep the building from freezing if the other boiler went down.
That's it. If it goes down, it literally just keeps the pipes from freezing and bursting, but redundancy would allow no disruption to operations and not have to have kids either miss school, try to be redirected, or kids would still be able to stay in the building.
Yeah, so we'd be talking about a change to that original design for a second, full boiler, which would keep the building operating if one of them went down.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions for Jason? All right. We also have an update from the Curriculum and Assessment Committee, and Jen.
Yes, I'm co-chairing the Curriculum and Assessment Committee with Kim Conant, who was here earlier today. We met as a committee for the first time on Thursday, September 9th. Kim spent a lot of that meeting kind of providing a bit of a landing spot for the committee. We haven't met yet as a group under Mike's leadership, and we haven't met at all since the springtime when we went over the NEWA scores.
I won't find you. You're a board member.
Yeah. We went over NEWA scores in the spring. We met for the first time. It's definitely an exciting time to be part of curriculum, I think. As I said, Kim highlighted a lot of what was discussed during that meeting, providing us a bit of a landing spot and a launching pad for where we're heading as a committee. For people who may be listening at home or who are not familiar with the strategic plan and the district vision, Kim had kind of highlighted different areas over the summer, the 5 pillars of the district vision. So as a review, leadership, professional learning, community engagement, teaching and learning, those are all part of the district's vision. So she broke that down, explained to us what happened over the summer in terms of the curriculum department in those areas. I think the real business of the curriculum committee is going to be drilling down now and coming up with some actionable steps, doing some review of curriculum materials, curriculum programming, coming up and understanding any gaps that we have moving forward, and particularly thinking well about that as we consider budget. So yeah, an exciting time to be doing things. We also set up a meeting schedule. We also took it pretty aggressive by bi-weekly meetings right now, but we might change that moving forward. So.
The Northwest Evaluation Association.
Got the first word wrong too, so.
$1.
All right. Any questions for Jen?
Mike, do you mind? Really quick. So as we develop the committee work and the committee norms and the goals, we'll be posting those goals from each committee. I'm going to be working with Cliff on how to have a home site for each committee so that the community can see the agendas that are being posted and the work that's happening. So just want to continue to work on that communication, which will come out of the communication committee, I'm assuming. So we're working towards that.
Committee. Mike. Next up is FYIs. I don't believe the administration had anything specific. I will mention we got an email from the New Hampshire School Boards Association about their delegate assembly, which is on Saturday, October 25th. The conference starts at 10:30 a.m. It runs for a few hours. So this is an annual gathering of members of the association, and the primary work done at this meeting is to consider resolutions that will define the association's position on the issues. So each member board can send 1 voting delegate and 1 alternate to the conference. So if you're free that day, you're interested in attending and acting as the board's voting delegate or alternate, let me know. We can schedule a vote to nominate you as the delegate or alternate. If we do have someone who's going to be attending, we can also vote on the board's position on each of the continuing and proposed resolutions so that that delegate can vote on the board's behalf at the meeting. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to me. Did anyone else have any updates or FYIs?
I just wanted to say quickly that there's been a lot of buzz on social media, and some people have reached out to me about some things concerning the safety of our children. And I know that Mr. Flynn at the last meeting said how seriously we take the safety of our children, and we do. And I want the public to be assured that the school board is aware of everything that's going on, and it's in the hand of the proper people. So, thanks.
I just wanted to, I don't have anything formally written, but we had the Legislative Task Force Committee meeting. I know that wasn't on the list, but there were just 2 things. Spoke to Jody Nelson, and she said that there was a possibility we were following up on the opt-in option for the free and reduced lunch program. They tried to present it last year as an opt-out so that when you go to fill in for Medicaid, that it would automatically put you in, but that did not go through. So this year, she said she's waiting to hear from somebody to see if it's presented again, and then she will co-sponsor it, that they're going to try and reword it so that it's an opt-in for free and reduced lunch. So if the people qualify for Medicaid, they can then check a box that would automatically opt them in for it, so they wouldn't have to fill out any additional paperwork. The filing period is September 15th to the 19th, so she will get back to us, I guess, in the next meeting to see whether or not that comes about. And one other feedback, she just wanted to let us know that she found the website is very easy to navigate now and find the forms. So that was just a kind of a feedback from a parent and citizen member. And that was it for that. Thank you.
I have some updates about Next. I know we don't have a student representative yet, but the students voted today, so hopefully by the next meeting we'll have a representative from Next. So Next started on Tuesday, and they had their overnight camping trip last week, and everything went well. They all had a good time. Let's see, sorry, I have some notes. For construction update, they started the demo for the new entryway from the Husky Habitat. Also, if anyone's watching that has a kid at Next, their PTSA is at risk of dissolving due to lack of parent and student interest. So they really need people to step up and help out with that, because PTSA does their proms, like field trips, lots of things. So it's very important. And also, last thing, tomorrow night they're having an info night at West Running Brook at 6 o'clock. So if any parents of 8th grade students want to go and see if Next might be a good choice for their kid next year, tomorrow, West Running Brook, 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Jamie.
I have something to add, yeah. I just want to say thank you to the Jason R. Flood Memorial in conjunction with Pizza Stock for coming by East Area Memorial Elementary School on Friday evening and providing, I think, the first experience that the Jason R. Flood Memorial and Pizza Stock event has ever had at an elementary school. And it was an event for parents and students to come and have some fun listening to live music. My own children were very familiar with a lot of the songs that were being played, so they were excited by that. Great community event to kick off the school year at East Derry, so I appreciate them coming there. There was some nominal money raised through baked items and temporary tattoos that also went to support the Jason R. Flood Memorial and all the good that they do in the community. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jen. All right, last chance. All right, our upcoming meetings, the next two meetings of the board will be Tuesday, September 23rd and Tuesday, October 14th, both at 6:30 p.m. here at the Municipal Center. We have no scheduled non-public business for tonight, so if we have no further business, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Jason, second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Good night, everybody.